My ex-husband and his new wife died 6 months ago. We were divorced for 3 years prior to that after he cheated on me for about 6 years with the woman he married after our divorce. Ex and I share 3 children, a nearly adult son and 2 teen daughters. Ex got his second wife pregnant while we were married, which is how the affair got revealed in the first place. I kicked him out and cut ties except for semi-civil co-parenting. I never had anything to do with his daughter, who's now a toddler. After my ex died, my former mother-in-law took her in temporarily. She's in poor health and my ex was her only child. The mother of the child had no family willing to take her, so she wanted to try and keep her out of foster care. My former mother-in-law asked me about 2 months ago to consider raising her granddaughter, seeing as she is the half-sibling of my children. I told her I didn't want to do that. She spoke to my children, and they refused to ask me on her behalf. She suggested that my children might want to keep her in their family and asked how I could deny them that chance. So I asked my children if they had any thoughts or plans to take her on once any of them were 18. They all said no. My son said his grandma had mentioned that to him, but he didn't care. My girls share a similar sentiment, though she didn't ask them directly. Former mother-in-law reached out again, and I told her my answer was still no. She suggested that her granddaughter was my family, and I cut her off and said that was not true. I told her I was not the child's mother, stepmother, aunt, or anything that would imply family. She told me she would need to let the caseworker know in the coming weeks that she needs a foster home if I can't take her. She told me to do it for her granddaughter, that she's innocent and how can I not love her, and rambled on a lot about that. I lost my cool, snapped at her and told her I didn't want to help her granddaughter and foster care was the best place for her if she couldn't raise her. My former mother-in-law told me I was a horrible, evil woman and that it was no wonder my children didn't care about their sister when I had that attitude about her, and she hoped one day it wouldn't come back to bite me in the butt. Am I the idiot for how I spoke to her and what I said about her granddaughter? Not the idiot. It's insane for the ex-mother-in-law to try to rope you into this. You went above and beyond, even talking to your kids about this. The child is a half-sibling to your children, but that does not create an obligation on your part. Some people are able to take on roles like your ex-mother-in-law is suggesting, and some people can't or won't. There's nothing wrong with that. Your ex-mother-in-law needs to back off. This was her choice. Now she can deal with it. I mean, it's not insane, it's desperate. I can understand 100% why she's trying to do it and why it's never going to happen. Everyone has been dealt a crappy hand here and it's obviously reached an inevitable, unpleasant conclusion. And how great of a life would the child even have being raised by the person who was cheated on and her being a constant reminder of the infidelity? Seems kinder to give her a clean slate with a new family that can love her without baggage. I agree that OP is not the idiot, but as someone who volunteers with foster kids, I really wish people stop viewing the system this way. There is no clean slate for foster kids and there is no new family without baggage. These kids inherently understand that their life is completely out of their control and their foster families are temporary placements. Adoption will likely be an option in this kid's case, and it may happen, but not before several foster placements and a long court case of the adoptive parents jumping through hoops. Well, not quite everyone. OP's ex and his affair partner dealt their own hand by A. having an affair, B. not using birth control, C. not planning for the kids' future in case of their deaths. Trusts and wills and pre-death conversations with friends and family are all things that they did not do. Sad for the child, she will pay the price for the poor decisions of her parents, but OP is under no obligation to take responsibility. I, 24 female, live in a small apartment with my older sister, 27. We generally get along well and share household responsibilities. We also share groceries and occasionally treat ourselves to some desserts or snacks. Last week, I bought a small cake for us to share. We each had a slice and there was one piece left. I mentioned that I wanted to save the last piece for a treat after work the following day. My sister agreed and I didn't think much of it. The next day, I came home from work, looking forward to enjoying the last slice of cake. When I opened the fridge, I discovered that the cake was gone. My sister admitted eating it even though she knew I'd called dibs on it. She said she had a moment of weakness and thought it wouldn't be a big deal. I got upset and accused her of being selfish and inconsiderate for eating the piece I'd been looking forward to all day. She felt guilty and apologised, but I was still really hurt by her actions. My sister offered to buy another cake or any other dessert of my choice to make it up to me, but I told her it was not about the cake itself. It's about her not respecting my wishes and taking something that I had clearly claimed. This incident has made me reconsider living with my sister. Our relationship is strained, and I'm considering moving out to have my own space and avoid any further conflicts. However, I'm aware that my sister can't afford the rent on her own, and if I move out, she'll likely have to move back in with our parents. My sister thinks I'm overreacting about a small issue and it's just a piece of cake. She has already apologized and offered to replace it, but I still feel hurt and disrespected. So, am I the idiot for considering moving out because my sister ate the last piece of cake I'd been saving for myself, knowing she can't afford the rent on her own? Yes, you are the idiot for threatening to move out over the cake. Was your sister right to do it? No. She did offer to fix it, but you're saying it's not enough by your actions. The way you describe this, you are massively overreacting to an isolated incident and jeopardizing your relationship over a bit of pastry. Also, I don't see why your sister wouldn't just find another roommate. OP's sister will most likely benefit from another roommate than OP. Such a drama queen. I have an older sister, and obviously we argue about stuff like this sometimes, but no one ever feels like the relationship is strained and not the same, lol. Just repeat it back to yourself. You want to move out over a piece of cake being eaten. Yes, you are the idiot. You must be high if you think it's about the cake. There's something bigger going on, and this is just the physical manifestation of discomfort that has been festering and intensifying. Sounds like the straw that broke the camel's back. Honestly, I don't think it makes OP the idiot, even if this is a one-time thing. I really don't. I don't see how this is any different from someone at work stealing someone else's lunch. It's not yours. You knew it wasn't yours, and you ate it anyways. If it's so easy to replace it, why didn't you replace it before OP got home? Or better yet, go out and buy your own instead of eating the one in there. I think it just shows plain blatant disrespect. These are adults. The sister isn't a child. She weighed her own desire at the moment against OP's disappointment and decided she was more important and that she was willing to risk whatever fallout there might be. She underestimated the fallout, that's for certain, but it's the risk she took. The risk she took? It was a slice of cake, dude. Sometimes a piece of cake is just a piece of cake. OP, you are the idiot for blowing this whole thing out of proportion. You are using this silly episode as an excuse to move out. Grow a pair and do it right. Don't hide behind, my sister doesn't respect me or my boundaries, as a reason for moving out. Last weekend, my 31 male, wife, 29 female, was out of town spending the weekend with old friends. On Sunday afternoon, my mother-in-law texted me that John, 21 male, my wife's brother, would be calling that night when my wife got home from her trip. She also said he has some upsetting news. I'm glad she will have you for support and I'll be home if she wants to call or FaceTime afterward. I told my mother-in-law that my wife had left later than expected and likely wouldn't be home until 11 PM now, and she said that John would call Monday evening instead. Later, my wife called from the car to check in because she was still 1.5 to 2 hours away and wanted a little break from her podcasts. I'm not sure what in the conversation made me think of it, but I told her about the text from her mom earlier. She immediately started asking me what could be wrong, asked me to read the exact text and was stressing out over it. She ended the call a few minutes later. When she got home, she was upset and angry at me for telling her. She didn't want to ruin my credibility with her mom and family, so although she didn't tell them, she knew something was going on. She'd reached out to both her mom and John to see if they wanted to talk while she was driving, and her mom never responded to her text while her brother said he wasn't free. By the time she got home, she said she'd already searched arrest records near his college, as well as local newspaper sites, and couldn't find anything about what this upsetting news could be. We had a big argument about what I did. She thinks I shouldn't have told her when I knew they'd be calling the next evening after her workday was over, and that I shouldn't have told her when she was alone in the car driving. I thought I was doing the right thing by not keeping secrets from her. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. Oh hey, your brother has some crappy news for you tomorrow, but I have no idea what it is. I guess you'll just have to sweat it out until he calls. That's what you did to your wife. You unfairly triggered anxiety and worry that was unnecessary. There are times when secrets are appropriate. Instead, you put her in a cloud of worry for an entire day. Why are we assuming that this was only stressful for OP's wife and not also for OP? If my mother-in-law called me and said my husband would be getting some upsetting news but wouldn't tell me what it was, I'd be concerned and freaking out too. It's okay that mother-in-law did it to OP, but not that OP relayed this to his wife. Mother-in-law created this situation where OP had no choice. Either he tells his wife, causing anxiety, or there's a surprise phone call and the wife is blindsided. Mother-in-law is the idiot here and OP is not. Agree, your mother-in-law is the idiot. What was even the point of her telling you that? What was that accomplishing? So now your choices are to freak out alone about what the heck the upsetting news is and run the risk of your wife being mad you didn't give her a heads up, or let your wife freak out with you. It was a no-win scenario for you. Info, what was the bad news? While her brother was out of immediate danger and physically fine, he had taken himself somewhere due to mental health thoughts he was having. They're very close and another family member survived a similar issue 2 years ago, so this is a very emotional topic for them. They didn't want to ruin her trip, and then didn't want to tell her in the middle of the night when she got home. I, 25 male, live where it was warm enough out that a pool party was mildly feasible. Cold in the water, but great otherwise. I invited a bunch of friends over to my house. We swam, grilled, and watched the Masters until the delayed by rain. It was a great time, except for something I may have come across as an idiot for. I kinda hate dogs and don't want them anywhere around me. I'm definitely not letting it in my house. My friends know this and my girlfriend knows this. A buddy's new girl who I'd never met came to the party, but she brought her 15 to 20 pound dog. She introduces herself and I just pause and go, "Yeah, that thing's not coming inside." She goes, "I'll take it through the side gate." I shoot that down too. She asked what she should do with her dog. I say, "Just take it home." I tell her I hate dogs and that my buddy should have told you before you got this far. My buddy chimes in and says it's well behaved. She would hold it for most of the time, and he didn't think it would be that big of a deal. I'm appalled and just said you should have known better. I say, "I'm sorry, I'm not letting it in, and it's best to take it home." We stood in awkward silence and they left and didn't come back. My buddy was texting me, calling me an idiot, and complaining that I wasn't friendly and rude. I'm not letting a dog in my house, I don't care who you are. Am I the idiot for that? Not the idiot. People who bring their pets to other people's houses uninvited are major idiots. One of my friends used to try to do this whenever we invited him over for a movie, and it made me angry. No dude, I don't want your dog sniffing and possibly eating my cards. So why do some people assume their dogs are welcome everywhere they are? That's not how life works. Because they think their dogs are equal to or better than humans. These friends of OP show up full of assumptions and, "Of course my dog will be welcome, isn't he cute?" Then respond to OP's "no" with, "I'll take it through the side gate." In what world is this behaviour okay? OP told her the dog wasn't welcome inside, and the next logical step was to ask if it could be with her in the backyard. But no, that's not what happened. OP stood up for himself. He defended his boundaries. The friend and his girlfriend tried to run roughshod over OP. They are the idiots. The overlap I've noticed in people who do this is, they are entitled and selfish people who think the rules don't apply to them because they are special. They don't necessarily think their dogs are equal to humans, they see them as extensions of themselves, and since they think rules don't apply to them, they extend that to their dogs. I prefer my dog's company over many humans, but I don't take it to people's houses because it's rude. This sounds like a friend who is fine to lose, but if you run into this situation again with someone you care more about, the key to diffusing is a big welcome and a cheerfully unapologetic, "That won't be possible. Martha, it's great to meet you finally. I'm so glad you're here, but I'm sorry Brad didn't warn you. This is a totally dog-free house. Run him home and come right back." No awkward silence, no being appalled, no calling the dog it. Just a cheerful welcome and a clear statement that you're totally dog-free. My nephew is a tween. He's my sister's only child, but she has 2 stepkids, teens. My sister's stepkids are my nephew's half-siblings. They share a father. My sister's stepkids have an active mom in their lives and split time between their mom's house and brother-in-law and my sister's house. When my nephew was younger, he told me he felt like his siblings didn't like him very much and they didn't call him their brother. He heard them tell another kid that he was not their brother. He was upset about it because he didn't understand why they'd say that. I told my sister and at the time she didn't seem to care very much. She said my nephew was fine and her stepkids loved him and all 3 kids were close. She said I was overthinking what he told me. I didn't really know what else to do, so I let it drop. But my nephew continued opening up to me. In the last 5 years, he's vented, cried on my shoulder, and told me he doesn't think his half-siblings love him. He only truly realised they were half-siblings a few years ago when a friend of his explained he had a half-sister because his mom had a baby with someone who was not his dad, and he came to realise his siblings had a different mom. My nephew hates that his siblings don't want more to do with him. He longs to be closer. So he asked me for help on how. I told him not to push them, but he could always ask if they wanted to watch a movie or play on the trampoline, and I told him if they say no, he needs to accept their no. I did tell my nephew he should talk to his parents about it, but he said they didn't care. After asking him some questions, I realised they didn't see the whole picture, or at least the picture my nephew saw. At least they didn't until one of the teams did a genealogy project for school and didn't include my nephew at all. This led to some questions being asked, the older kid saying they only acknowledged one sibling, and my sister and her husband talking to my nephew who said how he felt. He also told my sister he spoke to me. She was furious with me. I pointed out I'd come to her and she dismissed it. She said I should have done it again and kept trying to make her understand. I said if I'd done that, she would have accused me of getting involved in something that was none of my business. She admitted she would have, but my nephew would have been better off. She told me he is her son and she should be told when he's feeling like that. She asked me how she was meant to feel hearing her son say he didn't think he was loved or wanted. She told me I should have involved her. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. It sounds to me like your sister feels so guilty that she's desperate to share the blame. You're right that you could have done nothing without risking your sister reacting negatively, ultimately jeopardizing your relationship with your nephew. Your sister needs to own that she messed up and she needs to listen better. People don't need to try to make her hear. There's no way that OP was the first person the nephew talked about this with. As a young child, he absolutely told his parents first and they dismissed his feelings. Then he told OP she validated his feelings and became a safe person to express them after his parents told him that they weren't safe people to talk about this with. This continued for 5 more years. You tried more than once. She's using you to mitigate her guilt and try to stay on her high horse. Don't let her. He told her, you told her, both of you more than once. What more did she want? God himself to make someone put it in skywriting? She'd still say it was a prank and keep dismissing it.